Through storms, unshaken, unbowed. Through trials and verdicts, still standing proud. A titan in the tempest, against the raging crowd. He's got a vision for the future, gonna shout it aloud. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key, make the big switch. Power to the people, time to teach the rich.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Crazy Kryptonaut channel. I am Zester, and I hope that everyone is having an awesome start to the week. What is up, Kukla and Trish? Good morning there. The Dale King Show and Robin Parker. Happy to have everyone. And yes, as the title said for the video today, it is going to be a short one. We've got a good bit of news, and I'm certain there's going to be lots of questions to answer. But at noon, I have a meeting to try to figure out why the Calendly service is not working for our one-on-ones. And so I'm going to have to jump to that meeting at noon. My apologies for the short one, but we've got 30 minutes to get through all our news and as many questions as we possibly can this morning. And then hopefully we'll be set up for the future. What's up, Yukon? Good morning to you. And I like your thumbnail there, Yukon. It's a pretty snazzy bear you got going on. Oh, howdy there, musical lady. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read this one off so we can get into our news, because we got a really interesting one for today, and something that we've been predicting it, but now it's actually come to fruition. And so please do remember that the content in this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes and is not intended to provide financial advice. Please consult with a financial professional before making investment decisions. All right, now that we've got that one done, let's jump straight to our news today, because one of these, well, actually a few things are particularly interesting, but one is a really big indication of where the world is going as we begin to see the world of blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and traditional finance, or traditional companies as we viewed them, suddenly become the exact same thing. And so with that, our market overall, before we jump into the story, we're sitting at $107,000 Bitcoin, XRP $2.28, Ethereum sitting well over 2,600. We have seen a substantial rebound. Many folks are pointing towards the fact that it looks like the Middle East, or most of the people, most investors, seem to be gambling that the Israel-Iran conflict is not going to lead to World War III. And so it seems as if most markets are fairly happy this morning after being particularly unsteady at the end of last week. So whether that's a good or a bad sign, I suppose we will all find out together. But Tron's Justin Sun plans to go public in the United States with Eric Trump through $210 million SRM reverse merger deal. Eric Trump may lead the new Tron firm as the blockchain network pushes for U.S. market presence. All right, we are seeing now this is the merging of a cryptocurrency company into a public corporation. The idea that you would be able to hold stock shares essentially in cryptocurrency or in blockchains. And Tron is looking to do this through a deal with the social media group companies of the Trump family. Now, what would this mean? Because I feel like that's definitely going to be the immediate next question. You know, we see down here Tron. Tron's the 9th largest cryptocurrency on the planet. Primarily, its holders are outside of the United States. But it's sitting at over a $26 billion market cap. 1.2 billion in 24-hour volume, 28 cents a piece. And the idea here is that you would be able, or that we would start to see a merging of traditional companies and cryptocurrency companies. See, in this case, we would be looking towards you actually being able to trade in a company that actually operated the Tron network. This is kind of going to end up being a bit of a change up in terms of ownership over crypto or ownership over a blockchain. If completed, the merger would create a new company, Tron Incorporated, holding large amounts of TRX, Tron's native token. The report suggested that Eric Trump, son of U.S. President Donald Trump, may join Tron Inc. as a leader in a leadership capacity. According to the report, Dominari Securities, boutique investment firm based in New York, is arranging the transaction, and Tron is one of the largest blockchains in the crypto industry, founded by Justin Sun. Justin Sun actually just received information that some of the lawsuits were being dropped against him in the United States. And so this may have occurred on account of that. That may have ended up being a very, 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 very prominent reason on why this is suddenly being announced. But in a related move, SRM Entertainment announced a $100 million equity investment through a securities purchase agreement with a private investor. The investment will fund a new TRX treasury strategy backed by warrants that could raise the deal's total value to $210 million, with Justin Sun having been appointed as advisor to SRM Entertainment. Essentially meaning that it's very, very likely that this will end up happening in some form or fashion. We will see a new publicly traded company that is actually managing a blockchain. That is not something that currently exists yet. But just as we've talked about how banks and centralized exchanges are going to become essentially interchangeable, the same thing is going to happen with cryptocurrencies and corporations. We're going to start seeing Walmart's stablecoins, Amazon's stablecoin. We're going to see things like this, where now I can actually own stock shares, publicly traded stock shares, inside of a company that manages a cryptocurrency or manages crypto investments, all kinds of different things. And so, Musical Lady, that's a great question. I wonder if XRP will do another side chain with Tron next. Musical Lady, I believe that the next side chain will be to Solana. I strongly believe that the next side chain will be built towards Solana because it provides more usability. It would be more valuable to an XRP holder. But in the long run, Musical Lady, you're totally right. The plan would be to side chain off and to create interoperability with all of the major blockchains. And so you're totally correct, Musical Lady. At some point, we're going to see it. And Justin Sun, in terms of the Tron founder and a lot of the XRP team, well, they're buddies. And so I would think that that one would end up being a particularly easy one in the near future. That one in particular. Deborah Muse Wolf, I've held Tron for 4 years. Hope this is a good thing. Deborah, a lot of people are in a similar category. Tron was so hyped up for a lot of years, back from, like 2017, really to 2020. Tron was hyped. It had massive gains, and then it really just kind of got stuck. And you can actually go back through and you can really see it when you look at the Tron charts and you stretch out to the max. Back in 2018, massive boom all the way up to 21 cents. And then it really did. It took crypto winter hard, getting down to a penny a pop, essentially down 95 to 99% off of some of the different purchase prices of those who bought during the bull run. And so a lot of people, I can remember myself included on this one in Tron. I had bought Tron back in 2017. I had sold a little bit, and then the rest of my Tron had gone to valueless. And so I just forgot about it. I went ahead and said, I guess it's not even worth moving it. It became so worthless, essentially, after what I had paid for it. And a lot of people have got Tron wallets that are in a similar category. They bought back here when we had the bull run in 2021, they bought during the bull run in 2017, 2018, and they've just been holding their Tron because, well, in all honesty, until recently, you haven't been able to get back into the profit. You would have had to have held from the bull run peak in 2018. You would have had to have held until 2024 in order to actually make back your initial investment. And so that would have been a 6-year hold in order to actually get back into the green on your Tron investment. And so a lot of people are in that same category, Deborah, just because of how this ended up working out. Many holders of Tron, well, they've been inactive for a very long time. And Deborah, I wouldn't necessarily say that I think this is the best way to go about it. Tron is an interesting blockchain. Justin Sun is a eccentric character, to say the least. And so a lot of Tron has really been, it's been hard to figure out what Tron's up to. They managed to hold their market cap extremely well. They make amazing partnerships when it comes to corporations and banks and financial industries, but they don't really provide any services to the public. Really, all you can do is hold Tron. You can buy it, you can hold it. They got a Tron wallet for you to put it into, but otherwise, there's not much to do on the blockchain. But the company itself has been incredibly busy. I would say in certain regards, the Tron story is a similar story to the XRP or the Ripple Labs, in that the company has primarily been busy often making relationships and acquiring companies, building a portfolio, and they haven't really been all that busy giving us a bunch of announcements about what we're supposed to be able to do on their blockchains. So they're kind of similar in that regard. I do not personally trust Justin Sun and the Tron blockchain, but this is still very, very interesting. I would say this is actually one of the unique top 20 cryptocurrencies. And of course, I do not give financial advice, but I feel as if I might as well say, just so that it's made aware where my bias is at, of the top 20 cryptocurrencies, Tron is probably one of the only ones I do not own. I used to own it. I sold it off. I don't trust the guy. But them becoming a publicly traded company and having somebody to hold them accountable for in the United States could drastically change that thought process, because Tron does have so many amazing relationships and they have so much money. If Tron starts to be able to spend that money on research and development in the United States on advertising, Deborah, you may finally be back in the green on your Tron. You may finally be back. All right, though. Smooch got their ledger in. Next is adding Coinbase. Still need to scan the free Bitcoin, so I guess I need a bit also. Please advice. Smooch. And so when it comes to the free Bitcoin, you're just going to go to your Ledger Live dashboard on that front. And you're going to go to the refer a friend and then the redeem a voucher. And so I'll actually show that very quickly in just a second. And so right over here on the Ledger Live, this will be a little different if you're on your computer, on your phone, but you would go to refer a friend. You'd come over here to redeem your voucher, and then you just follow the steps, Smooch. And so I'm very happy to hear that you got your ledger. It will take a little while before your free Bitcoin shows up, but you need to go ahead and claim that voucher so that it'll start getting on its way. And then when it comes to Coinbase, Smooch, Coinbase, unfortunately, the setup is something I can't really help with because it's so much personal information. But the great part about setting up with Coinbase is that Coinbase walks you through the entire process. And so I don't think you're going to have too much trouble there getting the account set up. Now, once you're starting to use Coinbase, that's when it's my turn to jump back in and help you out, Smooch, and see if I can't get you pointed down the right roads on all the services that it provides and how to interact with them. All right. Musical Lady, sounds like Tron is a dark horse ready to break free. They really have. I mean, it kind of fits into that category. Musical lady, where is Tron initially originated from? I believe that would be Singapore. Musical lady, I believe Justin Sun is actually a Hong Kong native. It's Hong Kong or Singapore. I believe that it's Singapore though. But actually, now I'm curious. So now we have to find out real quick. Strongly believe though that it is Singapore. Strongly believe. Matter of fact, let's see what the internet says about Justin Sun. Chinese born. Yeah, it's got to be Hong Kong then. It's got to be Hong Kong, just with the business then originating out of Singapore, in terms of where Tron was actually incorporated. And so that would be Hong Kong originally, where Justin Sun is from. And it does. A musical lady, having it be in the United States and having a publicly traded company would massively change the thought process for me. It doesn't mean I'm going to go out and sell other cryptos to actually get a Tron bag, but it would change my thought process on whether I should have some. It would definitely change my thought process. Savvy, wasn't Tron a movie? It was indeed. The remake, I don't know. I don't remember thinking the movie was all that great. Yeah, LOL sounds great. I won't hold my breath though. I would agree, Deborah. When it comes to Tron, I would agree. But hey, it has been held back for so long. It hasn't really gotten an opportunity to advertise and be picked up by American investors. It could be its time to shine. All right, moving on to our next stories, because we've got about 10 more minutes before I've got to jump to that meeting. And so let's make certain we hit all the important ones. Vietnam legalizes cryptocurrency under new digital technology law. Vietnam has passed a sweeping digital technology law that legalizes crypto assets and outlines incentives for artificial intelligence, semiconductors, and infrastructure. National Assembly of Vietnam approved the law on digital technology industry on the 14th of June. Set to take effect January 1st of 2026, it recognizes crypto assets and lays out the groundwork for broader digital innovation across the country. And so this one's a very important part of the process for Vietnam moving towards a new financial system. And so this actually comes in kind of as a twofer, in that, well, it's a clear indication of more countries adopting blockchain technology and the use of cryptocurrencies, which with our streak this year, it just keeps happening. More countries, more companies, it keeps happening. And so in that regard, great news for cryptocurrency adoption. This, though, also kind of comes back and would actually be more of an article to be covered on the original Mark Z, as this actually is very important towards moving toward a new financial system. The fact that it happens to be Vietnam making this announcement, I don't believe is a coincidence. Not in the slightest. And so I'm actually going to add this one to the chat room. That way folks out there can share that around, read it yourselves, and learn a little bit about Vietnam's new digital currency laws, which also start to lay out a lot of ways for scam, for actual enforcement of digital and cryptocurrency related crimes that may have been perpetuated in the country of Vietnam, as well as discussing the importance of stablecoins and the possibility of Vietnam going ahead and putting out a stablecoin version of the Vietnamese dong. Then you'll be able to send your dong via the internet. Yeah. Might need to chop that word choice out of the video. Might need to. All right. Jumping over to our next one. Vivo Power taps BitGo as exclusive XRP partner. More news coming in. Vivo Power is allocating $100 million towards XRP, leveraging BitGo's OTC. OTC means over-the-counter trading. And so you'll very often hear about OTC trades when it comes to large trading. And that's just because most of these different, like Coinbase, Gemini, Kraken, most of the centralized exchanges or different consulting groups will provide an over-the-counter desk, which essentially just means they will make very, very large deals, millions of dollars in crypto in one go, maybe even billions of dollars in one go. And OTC trades are very important because of the fact that if somebody were to go in and throw $100 million purchase onto the regular books, well, they would massively, massively push the price up or down, depending on whether they're buying or selling. In an OTC trade, an actual set price is negotiated for the entire purchase. It's taken off of the markets, and then that way it kind of helps with limiting market volatility, and it helps these big guys with a lot of money get a better price when they make their purchase of crypto. And so you'll regularly see OTC thrown out and about, especially when we're talking about amounts of money like this. And so this marks a bold move in its transition to a decentralized finance strategy. The publicly traded company recently raised $121 million to fund the initiative, using BitGo's 24/7 over-the-counter trading desk and institutional-grade custody platform to execute and safeguard the acquisition. Another company going ahead and jumping straight in with XRP. It really has. The floodgates have opened with XRP partnerships throughout this year. We've seen more in a matter of the past 6 months than we really saw in a matter of the past 6 years. All right. Bitcoin and Ethereum lead the $1.9 billion crypto inflows as investors look beyond Middle East tensions. What we had talked about previously is that while we did see a fairly precipitous drop in the price of Bitcoin, XRP, all of the crypto markets and stock markets and everything all around the world over the initial raids between Israel and Iran, we have seen massive amounts of money coming in order to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum during this little price drop. And so the big boys took advantage of some discounts, and they've been sending massive amounts of money in, $1.9 billion inflows into cryptocurrency, while many are sitting there on the sidelines worried about World War III. Well, with $12.9 billion over 9 weeks, digital assets defy geopolitical fears, led by Bitcoin's renewed investor confidence. And so this marks the 9th week in a row of positive inflows. And so while the prices have remained fairly stagnant, we've had massive amounts more dollars coming into the market in terms of purchases than we have had leaving the market. Bitcoin led the rally with $1.3 billion in new inflows, reversing a short-lived downturn that saw 2 consecutive weeks of outflows. At the same time, short Bitcoin products saw inflows on a smaller scale. Financial investment vehicles added $3.7 million in fresh capital last week, but their total assets under management remain unchanged at $96 million. Here's another takeaway. The vast majority of purchases are not being made through these ETFs or being made through the other traditional financial vehicles. Most of the purchases are being made of actual liquid Bitcoin. Now, whether the companies are storing it themselves, what they're doing with it, that could be different across the board. But the vast majority of purchases are not being made through these ETFs. The ETFs seem to provide a lot of investor confidence, but they don't necessarily provide the vast majority of the inflows, at least not over the past 9 weeks. Over the past 9 weeks, most investors have been buying their Bitcoin and they've been getting it sent off to be stored somewhere safe on a hardware wallet or cold storage. All right, my Trish Mark did cover it this AM. Nice. Yeah. I had a feeling he might have. If not, I was going to make certain he was ready to cover it tomorrow morning. All right. And as discussed earlier, goodbye there, Kukla. It's a wrap for me. Kukla says, I hope you have an amazing start to the week, Kukla. And it's actually about to be a wrap for us as well. I've got my last article here, and then I'm going to have to run off in order to make that meeting with the folks to figure out if I can put the Calendly out for the one-on-one consulting. Market rapidly evolves towards positive outcome in the Middle East. It does seem as if the vast majority of investors are making a somewhat bold assumption that Israel and Iran are going to take an off-ramp and they're going to slow this thing down. And that really is what all the major positivity around the market has been based upon, is that the vast majority of investors do not seem to believe that Iran and Israel are going to start World War III. I'd be a little bit more hesitant, maybe than they are. But as we saw, there's also massive amounts of money coming in. And so it really isn't affecting crypto. Crypto is chugging along. It's growing exponentially every single day. And yes, prices are remaining extremely volatile, but we are continuing to get nonstop normalization in the crypto world. And I'm not certain I don't know what the final domino is really going to be before we start to see more of a direct correlation between all of this positive news and the prices of cryptos. I honestly think that time and market normalcy are going to be the only things that results in it. We need to get to a point of stability where everybody can kind of look around and everybody understands the playing field. And with new legislation constantly coming out, with new strategic reserves being set up every day, with new blockchains being built to connect and partner with different ones, I think that right now it's just, there's too much happening and there's too much uncertainty. The future is bright, but we're very uncertain about just how bright. And so I think we're going to kind of sit here for a little while. We're going to continue to be massively influenced by silly geopolitics. And we're going to continue to hear amazing news about partnerships and strategic reserves being set up around the world. And at a certain point, well, we're going to hit that perfect point. And so with that one, guys, I am going to run off to the meeting. Sorry once again for the short stream this morning. It shouldn't happen again. This one just had to be scheduled at noon, particularly because I needed to knock it out in order to be able to get that service live. And so thank you all so much. Love you all. Have an amazing week. I will see you back on here 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday, where we'll have our normal hour-long Q&A. And so, everyone, stay safe out there. See you soon.